Hello everyone, welcome back to Cheat Codes, and today I'm going to make a very quick and easy tutorial on 3 different ways to spawn enemies in Unity. One will be one that's you spawn enemies at a little base like an outpost and they stick around it, and one will be a random location on the screen, and then one will be a random selection of spawn points you have. So there are a couple of spawn points and I will choose a random one. So all I have here is a scene of empty game objects. A lot of them are invisible and they just have, well, this is just what we're going to use today. Obviously, whatever you have will be different. I also have a prefab of my enemies, which I'll just quickly show what they do. So I have a random point one, random position one, and then a base enemy. So these just go to the middle and die, and this one just randomly moves around. That is not important to what we're doing today, because this is a tutorial for something different. I'll quickly show how the enemies work. So the base enemy, there you go. If you want a screenshot or just look at it, or pause the video. That's all it is. Same to moving to the center one and dying. That's all it is. Very simple. Just getting out of the way. So we are going to start with the random pause spawner, which is random position, and we'll just have a private vector2 target, and then we're going to have a, sorry, I could just type start, which will just be start coroutine, which we're just going to call it coroutine random, set random location. So we're going to have an enumerator, which will be set random location. And it will have while true, which means it's going to be repeating. It's almost like an update. Then yield. Oh, return new wait for seconds. 1. And this will be very simple. Target equals new vector2 random dot range. And this will be your game's screen range, which I'll show mine in a second, which is my X is from minus 7.5 to 7.5. Not big capitals. Doesn't really matter, but it just annoys me. And then random dot range -5 to 5. Oh, and of course, we're going to make a private void spawn enemy, which will be instantiate, and we will need a, make it up here, public game object enemy. Simple. Let's spawn the enemy at the target and at its own transform dot rotation. So extremely simple. It doesn't really get much simpler than this. Let's just remember this. Let me show how it works. So, and again, let me show why I put those values in for the random range. These -7.5 and 7.5. That is my screen, all my game screens width. So you can have this however you want. Yeah. So whatever your x-axis is on the right, put that there, x-axis on the left, y-axis, you get the point. So I'm gonna get rid of these enemies. Just set it on take up screen, kind of turn off the base, and then random pause spawner. We're gonna drag it on there. This is the one we just made, the script we just made. I'm gonna drag in the enemy, and we're gonna hit play. So as you can see, there you go. There is your extremely chaotic spawner. Generally, you don't really want to use this, or you at least just want to tune some things so that it doesn't spawn too close to the center. And yeah, this is an extremely easy spawner. Yeah, so let's get on to the random point spawner. So we're going to turn this one off. Random point spawner is right here. And let's see, we're just going to make a public transform array spawn locations. I just want to mention, if anyone ever wants a in-depth tutorial on an enemy spawner or an enemy spawning system, whatever, just let me know in the comments and I will make one. I don't know why I'm typing at the start completely, but yeah. So for spawn locations, length, spawn locations, I equals transform dot get child. So I'll explain this in a second, but yeah, for spawn location length, so how many spawn locations there are, which will be 4. So it'll repeat it 4 times, and this I will plus itself 4 times. So it'll select the number 0 in the array, which is 1 if you thought about it, and it'll say it's equal to child, which is the same, which I'll show in a second. And then we're gonna make a private void spawn random point, but you can call it whatever you want, random location, random dot range 0, spawn locations dot length, and then instantiate enemy at spawn locations, random location, position, and spawn locations, random location dot rotation. Very simple. So it's just randomly spawning them in the array of things that are assigned here. And then we're gonna have a enumerator, and we're gonna call it spawn enemies. And while true again, which is just repeating, yield return new, wait for seconds, 1 spawn point. And then in here, start coroutine spawn enemies. So very simple, and I'll explain in a second. We're gonna have the random point spawner right there. Make it 4, because there are 4 children, 4 points, however many you have. And we drag in the enemy it's gonna spawn. And yeah, they're spawning at the points. So extremely simple, very easy. I'll quickly show how to spawn multiple. All you'll do is 4, and then just how many will spawn. So if you want to spawn 2 enemies, make this 2, 1, 3, 4, whatever. Yeah, that's all. So let me explain quickly how it works. So again, for the amount and the spawn locations dot length, which you can see here is 4, it goes through spawn locations I, which if it was 0 is this one, so the top one is equal to transform.getChild I, which also is 0. So that's all it is. Extremely simple. It assigns them all and then it just picks a random in here. And now let's do the last one, which is the base. So we can turn this back on. So this one will be really simple, not the best, depending on what you want. So we'll have this, and then also public object enemy, and then we will have a non-serialized public and enemy count, which just non-serialized, so don't see as vector. You don't need this. It could also just be private. It is literally just so if you ever want to, because the only way you can, well, I'll show you how to like remove it. I'll show you. Sorry, I'm blabbering on. Start coroutine. Spawn after time. Which doesn't exist yet, but it will in a second. Private void spawn enemy. Will be if enemy count is smaller than max enemy count, which obviously just means if you have less enemies than the max, do it. So we'll have a game object spawned enemy equals instantiate enemy transform dot position transform dot rotation, and then a spawn enemy transform dot parent equals transform, and then enemy count equals 1. Very simple, and now we just need the enumerator, spawn after time, while again, just another repeating loop, yield, then new, wait for seconds, no, that is not right, 1, and spawn enemy. And in our actual enemy script, we'll have a on mouse over if input dot get mouse button down 0 destroy game object. Obviously this will be how your enemy script if your thing dies, whatever. I'm just showing you how to remove them from this base list when they die, well, array when they die. Well, reset this number, reduce it, because obviously if you spawn 3 enemies, the enemy count will go up to 3. It'll never go down again unless you minus it. So if you kill the enemy, if you don't minus this number, they won't respawn. So this is just so they can respawn. So on destroy, transform dot parent dot get game object dot get component base dot enemy count minus equals 1. That's it. That's simple. So this is just whenever your enemy dies, it gets spawned by the base. It just minuses it from the amount there are, so that they can respawn. And this also just sets the enemies as a child, just so it doesn't clutter up your screen too much. So let's drag in our base, drag in the base enemy, and I set play. Oh, no, sorry, we have to set the max enemy count, which is 3. So they're coming out. And as you can see, the enemies are spawning as its children. You click when it dies, and it's going to respawn. There you go. There's your extremely simple enemy spawner base. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want a much more in-depth or much more complicated system, where it has separate enemies and it will respawn, let's say you have something like this that has 3 enemies, but every enemy is unique, and you want to make sure it always has 1 of each enemy, I can do that. If you want some complicated wave system, I can do that too. Just ask, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.